Good day, everyone. We are the Group 4, and for the next following days, we are going to discuss our topic, which is the crime analysis and mapping. Let me introduce to you our fellow members. First, we have Atay Jilin M, Arapok Myril Lorraine, Aisa Ray J, Butalid Angeli, yours truly, Gapul Cedric, Mag-abo Carlo, Patoy Ethel Grace, Quezon Marian, Rosales, Carl Vincent, Sanchez Darrell Jane, Suwan Angel, and the last but definitely not the least, Tumapon AJ Paul. So without further ado, let's start. So these are the objectives of our presentation. So first, to define crime analysis and mapping, highlighting their significance in modern law enforcement. So as we delve into our presentation, we are going to know and familiarize what is crime analysis and mapping and their importance in modern law enforcement. Next is to explore the methodologies and techniques used in crime analysis, including data collection, analysis, and interpretation. Next, to examine the role of mapping technologies such as GIS in visualizing crime patterns and trends. So as we go on again to our presentation, we are going to know the mapping technologies and define and know what is GIS. Next is to discuss the applications of crime analysis and mapping in resource allocation, crime prevention, and strategic planning. Next is to address the challenges and ethical consideration associated with crime analysis and mapping. Next is to learn about the history of crime mapping. And the next is to discuss the importance of intelligence analysis and its purpose, strategic crime analysis, data representation, problem solving, and geocoding process, and etc. So that's all for our objectives.
Good day everyone, I am Jillian Matay and I am going to discuss about the introduction of our report. Police have long used maps of geographic features to plan patrols, routes, and locate addresses. Traditionally, crime mapping involved manually placing pins on wall maps. This chapter explores the rise of computerized crime mapping for crime analysis, covering key terms, basic concepts, the history of crime mapping, its current status, and career paths. It draws from the introduction to crime analysis, mapping, and problem solving curriculum, focusing on crime analysis types, crime mapping methods, and their history. The introduction emphasizes the long-standing relationship between law enforcement and geographic tools for crime prevention and investigation. Traditionally, police officers use physical maps to plot crime scenes, patrol routes, and important locations by manually placing pins. Their hands-on approach helps officers visualize crime distribution and identify key areas requiring increased attention or resources. Despite its simplicity, manual crime mapping was a crucial step toward understanding spatial patterns in criminal activity and optimizing police operations. With the rise of computer technology, crime mapping has undergone a significant transformation. Computerized crime mapping allows analysts to process large sets of data quickly and display crime trends more accurately using digital tools. These advances enable real-time updates, layered information, and complex spatial analysis that were impossible with paper maps. This digital evolution enhances the ability of law enforcement agencies to detect patterns, predict crime hotspots, and deploy resources more efficiently, moving from reactive policing to proactive crime prevention. This chapter provides an in depth exploration of computerized crime mapping, beginning with essential terminology and foundational concepts. It traces the technological and methodological development of crime analysis tools, highlighting milestones that mark the shift from manual to digital operations. The history section offers insights into how crime mapping practices evolve alongside technological progress, reflecting challenges in policing strategies. Understanding this history is a key to appreciating current mapping techniques, their application in modern law enforcement. Finally, the chapter connects theory and practice, examining the various types of crime analysis and mapping methods in use today. It also introduces career pathways for individuals interested in crime analysis, showing how skills in mapping and data interpretation are increasingly critical in police work. Drawing from the Introduction to Crime Analysis, Mapping and Problem Solving curriculum, this section aims to equip readers with both conceptual knowledge and practical awareness of the crime analysis field scope and impact.
So good day everyone. I am Ray J. P. Isa and today we will tackle about the definition of terms which is first is the apprehending criminals. Crime analysis supports law enforcement by helping identify, locate, and apprehend criminals. The main purpose of crime analysis is to help the police do their job better. One of the most important goals of the police is to catch criminals, and crime analysis helps them to do this by studying crime data, by looking at crime patterns and clues. Analysts can give information that help officers find and arrest suspects more quickly and effectively. Second is the crime analysis. Crime analysis helps law enforcement study crime patterns to catch criminals and prevent future crimes. Crime analysis means carefully examining crime data to find trends and connections. This helps police know where and when crimes happen, use their resources wisely, solve cases faster, and create plans to stop crimes before they occur.
So I am tasked to report to you the crime mapping. So what is crime mapping? This is a term used in policing to refer to the process of conducting spatial analysis. So what is spatial analysis? So spatial analysis is the process of examining location-based data to understand the characteristics, relationships, and the patterns of features in the Earth surface. So maingon dita og ano spatial analysis, it is a technique day no nga gamiton day to identify the best location for understanding no the pattern labi na in about the crime. The example no of the allocate resources or allocating resources is the installing of surveillance or the CCTV. So the GIS tools turn crime data into maps and visuals, helping law enforcement make smarter, data-driven decisions.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone. I am Mary Lorraine Arapok. My report is all about law enforcement information. In addition to crime, law enforcement agencies address many other issues and thus collect many other types of data. Examples of law enforcement data that are often available for crime analysts are called for service like noise complaints, burglary, alarm, suspicious activities, traffic information like accidents and citations, citizens' perceptions like fear of crime, crime prevention behavior, satisfaction with the police, victimization, probation record, and parole information. Okay, so in law enforcement agencies collect a wide range of data beyond just crime incidents. These data sets helps in understanding community safety, improving response, and making informed operational decisions. First is call for service. In call for service, these are records of all the calls received by the police department, including emergencies and non-emergencies. Examples of these are report of noise complaints like loud parties, suspicious activities like someone loitering near vehicles. So number 2, traffic information. It means data on vehicle-related incidents, violations, and enforcement actions. For example of these are traffic citations for speeding or reckless driving. Second example is accident report indicating time, location, and severity. Number 3, citizens' perceptions. This means surveys or feedbacks reflecting public attitudes toward safety and policing. For example, community satisfaction surveys and perceived police effectiveness ratings. Number 4, in victimization. Victimization means information gathered from victims about crimes, whether or not reported to the police. So, for example, of these are National Crime Victimization Service data, Num- Second example is local victim interviews detailing unreported thefts or assaults. So number 5 is probation and parole information. This means records of individuals under community supervision after conviction. For example, probation reports showing offenders' addresses and conditions. Parole database used for monitoring compliance and re-offense risk. So that's all. Okay, so my second report is all about socio-demographic. This type of information refers to the characteristics of individuals and groups such as sex, race, income, age, and education. On an individual or micro level, socio-demographic information is used in law enforcement to search for identity crime suspects. On macro level, socio-demographic information is used to determine the characteristic of group and how they relate to crime. So, socio-demographic information, this means that social and demographic characteristics of individual or communities often used to understand crime trends and suspects profiles. First, individual or micro level. This means used to describe or identify suspects and victims. For example, suspects descriptions for like male around 25 to 30 years old, African American medium build. Second example is victim profiling. For example, elderly women targeted to in purse snatching incidents. Then number 2, group or macro level, used to analyze relationship between community characteristics and crime patterns. For example, high unemployment and low education levels correlated with property crime. The second example, income inequality associated with higher violent crime rates in neighborhoods. So sa group or macro level, makita na mo nga makita nato nga unsay relationship nila nganong ang certain person or ang suspect mihimo ana nga crime due to like for example sa akong gihatag nga for example high unemployment and low education levels. So high unemployment ug daghang walay trabaho. So this means nga kanang makauna-una ang tawo nga kana ganing mangawat or mogbuhat og crime kay wala kanang walay daghang trabaho. So in order to survive, mangawat na lamang sila. Mo nang makakuan siya ma-fall siya sa group or macro level kay daghan man sila. Okay, so spatial. Spatial analysis in crime involves understanding not just where crime happens, but also the characteristics and context of those locations. Examining spatial data like street layout, zoning, school and business locations, and environmental factors is essential for identifying patterns and improving crime prevention strategies. So, in spatial, or geographic analyses help understand where and why crimes occur by examining location-based factors. Spatial data includes street networks, zoning maps, school businesses, parks, and environmental conditions. This helps analysts detect hotspots, crime clusters, and environmental risk. For example, mapping Bulgari hotspot near highway or quickscape routes. Second, analyzing assaults near bars or nightlife areas.
So hello everyone, and my name is Calvin de Rosales, and I will be discussing about this one right here. So prevent crime. So when we say prevent crime, law enforcement aims to stop crimes before they happen, not just catch offenders. Crime analysis helps by studying data to find where and when crimes like residential burglaries occur. This information allows police to focus patrols on community education in high-risk areas. So meaning when we say prevent crime, it is stated in that first sentence that law enforcement aims to stop crimes before they happen. So pasabot ani, ang mga law enforcement mag-stop jud siya sa crime mao ilahang unang buhaton kaysa mangdakop og mga nakasala. When we say offenders, muna siya itong mga nakasala. Now, crime analysis helps by studying data to find where and when crimes like residential burglaries occur. Now, in this second sentence, crime analysis helps by studying data to find where and when crimes like residential burglaries occur. Like meaning mag-pinpoint sila ug asan dapitang lugar using the crime analysis data na ilang nagather para mabal-an nila kung asa jud dapit nagsugod ang crime. Like asa dapit ang mga lugar nga daghan yung mga crime nga manghitabo. Now, this information allows police to focus patrols on community education in high-risk areas. Now, diri sa last nga sentence, it is stated nga ang mga patrols mag-focus dun siya, magpatrol sila kung asa dapit ang area nga daghan jud oy crime nga mahitabo para dili sila laraw-laraw sa mga lugar nga wala usad oy mga crime nga mahitabo. Kay ug mga focus man gud sila sa lugar nga wala sad oy crime nga mga mahitabo, unsa na lang tong mga lugar nga nahibilin. Now, the next is to reduce disorder. Now, social disorders such as neglect and public disturbances can lead to more crime if ignored. Crime analysis supports police by studying signs of disorder like traffic accidents or noise complaints so officers can address issues early and prevent bigger problems. Now, when we say social disorder, now social disorders such as neglect, ang meaning sa neglect kay kanang gipasagdan na siya. Like kanang wala kaga kabalo, wala ka kabalo kung sa imong gibuhat or kabalo ka sa imong gibuhat pero wala ra nimo tagay og mga preventive measures. And public disturbances kanang mga noise, yung mga kanta-kanta nga mga yabag ganitinyo. Now, can lead to more crime if ignored. So, crime analysis supports police by studying signs of disorder. Now, crime analysis magahisgot ana sa mga further discussions sa mga ka-groupmate para ma-understand yun nato kung unsay pasabot na niya. Unsay iyang functions, unsay iyang pamaagi, unsa siya paggama, asa siya gikuha. Now, crime analysis supports police by studying signs of disorder like traffic accidents. Traffic accidents, mga mainly, mga disgrasya, mga uban nga mga disgrasya nga naoy katagbo, or naay uban nga disgrasya nga maslide lang tungod sa lugar, danglog, or naay mga ang labay ng pedestrians or iro-iring, or noise complaints like I said ganina katong mga kantang mga pagpugani tingog pusaka dagsyagit di supod sa panghinaway pero so officers can address issues early and prevent bigger problems. So para dili lang yun mudako ang problema. Kay nanay problema daan nya pasagdan pa nimo. So wala na. Finish na. Mudaghan na no, mosamot na no ng kagubot nga imbis ang reklamo kay tungod ra sa kabanha. Kalit na no og sinumbagay kay wala may gibuhat. Now, study. Now, crime analysis is a structured, scientific approach to understanding crime and law enforcement data. It uses proper research methods and statistical techniques to ensure findings are accurate and reliable. Now, when we say crime analysis is a structured, scientific approach to understanding crime and law enforcement data, naadyo na siya pagkasunod-sunod. Dili ka pwedeng nailaktawan ana niya. Kaya kung laktaw-laktaw ka, you may miss something that's very important. Dapat, kung magama ka ani niya sa crime analysis, wala jud kay laktawan. Now, it is scientific approach to understanding crime and law enforcement data, meaning, kwan dyan siya, focus dyan siya sa understanding crime and law enforcement using the data nga nakabutang din dapita sa ubos. Now, it uses proper research methods, meaning dili lang siya pataka-taka sad. Dapat naasad siya oy proper research methods and statistical techniques to ensure findings are accurate and reliable. There is a last part, to ensure findings are accurate and reliable. We can definitely say nga ang mga data nga makuha dapat gikan siya sa use of proper research method and statistical technique para makasiguro ka nga ang imuhang data nga nakuha accurate siya and reliable. Kay yung dili man gud siya accurate and reliable, you may lead to kanang magagama-gama lang kag ebidensya para i-present sa court nga mabalance sa court nga dili mo ang imong gihimo. So imo na nung sala ma-dismiss ang kaso, yun and so on.
Good day, everyone. I am Marlene Quezon, so I am the next reporter. My topic is all about types of crime analysis. As you will see, each contains characteristic of crime analysis in general, but each is specific in the type of data and analysis used as well as in its purpose. So, intelligent analysis. This type specifically examines organized crime, criminal activity, whether reported to law enforcement or not to aid investigations by identifying networks and apprehending individuals to prevent crime. Intelligent analysis prioritizes and links information collected from methods like surveillance and informants, presenting it in a clear framework to facilitate further investigation. So this type of analysis focus on organized crime. It is concerned with gathering and interpreting information that may not be reported directly to law enforcement, such as insights derived from surveillance, informants, or direct observation of criminal activities. The purpose of this analysis is to help police and investigators understand the broader criminal networks and relationships between individuals, events, and properties involved in criminal activities. By organizing and prioritizing this information, law enforcement can identify case suspects, uncover patterns, and ultimately prevent further crimes. So, first is criminal investigative analysis. The study of serial criminals involve analyzing characteristics like physical, socio-demographic, psychological, and geographic traits to establish patterns that aid in solving serial crimes, often referred to as profiling. This process entails constructing a profile of an unknown offender based on the crime's nature, case facts, and victim characteristics. The analysis primarily utilizes qualitative data related to serious crimes such as murder and rape, with a focus on individual cases and spatial aspects of incidents, including locations like body dump sites. The goal of criminal investigative analysis is to identify patterns that span across city, state, and national boundaries, facilitating the linking of behaviors and evidences that and um, national borders and evidence to apprehend offenders and resolve cases. So this involves this analysis involves examining specific serial offenders, victims, and crime scenes. Analysis study a variety of characteristics like physical evidence, social demographic information, psychological traits, and geographic data to detect patterns and connections. This information can help investigators this information can help investigators link crimes that may seem unrelated at first or identify potential suspects based on behavioral patterns or victims' profiles. Um, so the second one is the tactical crime analysis. The study of recent criminal incidents aims to analyze characteristics such as the mode, timing, and location of crimes. This tactical crime analysis assists in identifying patterns, trends, and investigative leads, focusing on recent crimes reported to the police. Information analyze methods and point of entry, suspect actions, victim type, and weapon use, and various field data like suspicious activities and identifying features of individuals involved. So, in the investigative analysis, diri magbuhat og profiling like magkuan siya og the victim characteristic, profiling sa unsa iyang physical formation. Then while diri sa tactical crime analysis, diri na mahitabo ang ug asa ang nahitabo ang crime ug unsa nga adlaw, unsay weather, unsa orasa in order to apprehend the suspect easily where og asa ang og unsay suspect nga o unsa nga weapon ang gigamit sa suspect o unsa ang action nga iyang gibuhat and various field data nga nahitabo during the crime. So that's all. Thank you.
So the three purposes of tactical crime analysis are: 1. Linking cases together and identifying the notable characteristics of the patterns and trends. It means connecting related crimes by studying their common patterns, traits, or methods to help identify suspects and solve cases faster. Second is clear cases. Tactical crime analysis helps clear cases by using data to identify crime patterns and suspects for investigation. It means analyzing daily crime data to find connections and suspects, then sharing this information with officers to solve and close cases efficiently. Third is strategic crime analysis. Strategic crime analysis studies long-term crime patterns using statistical and demographic data to improve planning and problem solving. Strategic crime analysis consists primarily of quantitative analysis of aggregate data, monthly, quarterly, and or yearly compilations of criminal and non-criminal information such as crime, calls for service, and traffic information are analyzed in aggregate form. So, strategic crime analysis focuses on analyzing large amount of crime and community data over time to identify trends, support decision making, and develop effective crime prevention strategies.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ethel Grace Juan Batoy, and my report is about the two primary purposes of strategic crime analysis. So, the first one is to assist in the identification and analysis of long term problems such as drug activity. So, this purpose focuses on studying patterns and trends of crime over time. So, strategic crime analysis helps law enforcement nga kuan ma-identify nila ang mga ongoing or recurring issues within a specific area or kanang in a community. Parehaan ng drug trafficking, kanang repeated burglary or kanang mga organized crime within a specific area. So bali dire ilaan ng balon and mangita na sila mga strategies nga ma-prevent ni nga crime from happening kaysa anang ma-respond ra sila nga na kuha na ang crime nahitabo na. So bali ang sa number one nag-ingon ni siya dire nga so kanang by analyzing data and spotting trends, police can develop long-term strategies and allocate resources effectively to prevent these persistence problems. So mas maayo i-prevent siya kaysa sa hulaton nga mahitabo. And the next one is to conduct studies to investigate or evaluate relevant responses and procedures. This means that strategic crime analysis is also used to assess the effectiveness of police strategies, programs, or kanang policies. So, in example, analysts might study whether a new patrol strategy, community policing effort, or drug prevention program is actually reducing crime. So, diri ilanang balon if ang mga program ba sa mga law enforcement or kanang ilaang mga strategies kay nakatabang ba gyud nga para i-prevent ba ang naka-prevent ba sa crime or kanang ma-reduce ba ang crime. So ang result ana is kuan i-evaluate the results of this kay kanang it is like an evaluations to help police departments make informed decisions, improve their methods, and ensure that resources are used efficiently. So the next one is these types of studies includes number one, evaluation of crime prevention programs. So, strategic crime analysis involves studying how effective a crime prevention program is. For example, kanang in a community starts o kanang neighborhood watch o pareha ng mga tanod or kanang nag-install sila og street lights, and then the analyst will collect and compare the data anang before and after nga nahitabo to siya nga or after nga na-implement to nga program, and then this helps determine whether the program actually reduces crime or improves safety in the area. So bali after ana nga nabuhat na and na-implement na to nga program, ila po nang mag-conduct pod sila og kanang ah, data ilang i-compare if ang i-compare ang before and after, like if sa after na bagyod nakatabang bagyod na siya or kanang wala. The next one is in-depth examination of particular crime problem. So this means analyzing a specific type of crime or issue in detail, such as car theft, drug trafficking, or burglary. So the analysts look for patterns, causes, and contributing factors like where and when the crimes occur, who is involved, and what social or environmental factors might be influencing them. So kani sa number two, ang goal ani is to understand ay kanang ilang balon ang like ang root sa problem, then mo develop sila og strategies para ma-address ng effectively. The next one is implementation of a survey of citizens' perception of crime and the police. So strategic crime analysis may also include surveys or interviews with community members to learn about their feelings of safety, trust in the police, and views on crime problems in their area. So bali in conducting by a survey or interview kay syempre if makaingana ka makadawat kag feedback. So bali sa ilang feedback dito po ka makabasi if ang inyong program nga nabuhat or kanang mga strategy nga para maka-reduce sa crime kay na-effect ba siya or wala. And then strategic crime analysis employs pre and post measurement alongside impact and process evaluation methodologies to examine procedures including deployment, staffing, redistricting, data entry, and reporting. It utilizes statistical techniques and research methods to assess long-term issues and evaluate organizational procedures, with analysts specializing in this field referred to as a problem or research analysis. So parehas ako ang giingon ganina. The next one is the administrative crime analysis. So the presentation of interesting findings of crime research and analysis based on legal, political, and practical concerns to inform audiences within law enforcement administration, city government, council, and citizens. So administrative crime analysis focuses on presenting crime-related information and research findings to people who make important decisions, pareha ng uh, police administrators, city officials, and also the general public. And the goal is to inform and support policy making, planning, and resource management in law enforcement. So this type of analysis usually involves summarizing data and trends in a way nga mas masabtan siya og sayon sa mga non-technical audiences. So di ba tay parehas na lahi-lahi man ta og kuan. So nay uban nga dili kaayo may ani kani para ani sa mga cellphone ana. So para mas mabal-an pod sa uban, ila pong nang ipamaagi nga mas sasayon nga masabot ra pod sa kadaghanan. And so bali ang administrative crime analysis helps communicate the result of crime research to decision makers and the community, guiding informed choices about law enforcement strategies, budgeting, and public safety initiatives. And the next one is Introduction to Crime Analysis, Mapping, and History of Crime Mapping. So, conducting spatial analysis and creating crime maps have only recently become common in policing and crime analysts. Unlike crime analysis, the history of crime mapping begins not with the establishment of the first police force, but with the researchers long before computers. So, the introduction to crime mapping and history of crime mapping focuses on how the use of maps to study and understand crime patterns has developed over time. So, bali kaning sa crime mapping mas makatabang manggod ni mas makatabang ka diri if para malocate nimo ang next or kanang mabal-an ninyo asa sunod mahitabo ang crime parihaan ng mga kanang sa bank robbery dira ilaan ang sa crime mapping nana siya oy kanang sa mapan ninyo sa inyo ang community then ila na ing petaon dira peta na ay bank diri sa Pikas na po'y bank na sa Pikas so nakita na nila dito nga ang una nga bank is na rob na siya. So the next one is probably nga ang katong sunod nga bank mao na po to siya sunod. So bali makabalo na sila dito nga dito na po masunod ang bank. Then it can prevent the crime from happening. Then crime mapping involves a spatial analysis of crime data, examining where crimes occur to identify patterns, trends, and problem areas that can help law enforcement allocate resources effectively. So just like what I have said, while ang modern crime mapping relies heavily on computers and geographic information system or GIS, its origins go back to early researchers who studied crime distribution using hand-drawn maps and basic data analysis long before computers existed. So sa una nga wala pa ang mga technology, ang ginagamit ra nila sa ano is katong papel din masila ray maggama sa mapa ilara ng isulat dira and then nara sila labelan nana sila i-label para mabalaan nila nga nay crime nga nahitabuan ni aning una then nara po na legend nga ibutang nila dira og unsa na siya. Then, over the years, this practice evolved into a crucial part of crime analysis, helping police and analysts make data-driven decisions to improve public safety and crime prevention strategies. So the next report will be reported by my co-members.
Good day, sir. My name is Carlo L. Magabo, BS Crim 3A. Beginnings of crime mapping. In the 1800s, European researchers from the Cartographic School of Criminology began studying how crime was spread across different areas. Andre Michel Curie, a lawyer, was the first to make crime maps using criminal statistics from 1825 to 1827 and census data in France. He studied crimes against property, crimes against people, and educational levels. He found that places with more property crimes had fewer violent crimes, and that educated people often live in areas with more property crimes. So as I said, crime mapping began in 1800s when researchers nagamit na sila maps and statistics to understand kung asa ug nganong mahitabo ang crime, linking them to education, wealth, and social conditions.
So, good morning everyone. Good morning, sir. So, in United States, 1900 to 1970s, crime mapping in the United States began later than in Europe due to lack of reliable maps census data in the 1800s. The first major spatial analysis of crime emerged in 1920s to 1930s through urban sociologists in Chicago. Their research connected crime and delinquency to social issues like poverty, disorganization, making their studies on juvenile delinquency and neighborhood condition some of the earliest and most significant example of crime mapping in the early 20th century. So, Ang crime mapping sa Estados Unidos ulahi nagsugod kumpara sa Europe. Tungod kay sa 1800s wala pa sila kasaligan nga mapa og census data. Nagsugod na kini sa mga tuig 1920 hangtod 1930s, panahon sa mga urban sociologists sa Chicago. Gamit nila ang mga mapa aron masabtan ang mga pattern sa krimen. Nakaplagan nila nga ang krimen o pagkadelikente kasagaran konektado sa mga social nga problema sama sa kapobrehon, kakulang sa organisasyon sa komunidad. Ang ilang pagtuon sa juvenile delinquency o kahimtang sa mga silingan mao ang usa sa pinakasayo o labing importante nga ehemplo sa crime mapping.
So good morning everyone, my name is Angel Swan and my topic is all about crime mapping. Crime mapping was a theoretical component in the development of the concentric zone model, which condensed that in an urban setting different type of zones. Chicago school researchers applied this concept to crime, observing that gangs and delinquency were concentrated in the zone of transition, a transitional area characterized by social disorganization and limited social control. So, crime mapping is a practice of using geographic information system to visualize, analyze, and understand crime patterns and trends within a specific area. So, crime mapping, how it works. So, number one, data collection. Crime mapping involves collecting and analyzing location and time data related to crime. Number two, analysis. Analysts can then query the data to find patterns, correlate crime location with other variables, and identify areas with high crime activity. Resource allocation. Law enforcement agency use crime maps to strategically deploy officers to areas with the highest crime activity. Community safety. Crime maps can be shared with citizens to keep them informed about criminal issues in their neighbors. Early methods crime mapping began with manual methods such as placing pins on paper maps to visualize crime data. Modern technology, the introduction of GIS technology revolutionized crime mapping, allowing for more complex data analysis and dynamic visualization. So crime mapping is diha nato mahibaw-an kung asa dapit ang high rate sa crimes. For example, ilang gigamit is, for example, naay blueprint nga naay mga places, then putangan na nila pins og asay naay high rate sa crimes. So karon na may daghang mga gamiton para ma-identify og asa dapit ang high crime. So naa siya sa mga computer. So computer na ilang gamiton para mahibaw-an og asa dapit ang high crime. 1950s to 1970s. Sociologists and others who were interested in crime and its causes continued to examine the sociological factors associated with crime. So in 1950s and 1970s, continued to study social factors that contributed to crime. Instead of focusing only on individuals, they examined how elements like poverty, unemployment, family breakdown, and lack of education affected criminal behavior. So, isa po ni sa kuan sa crime if kuan na kay ka naghirap na kay kasi imong kinabuhi, like wala na kay makaon, so huna-huna na lang ka nga makabuhat og daotan para lang mabuhi. So late 1960s, scholars began conducting a spatial analysis of crime with the help of large computer system and unsophisticated visualization methods. So sa late 1960s is ang mga researchers na started using computers to analyze where crimes occurred. This was the beginning of spatial crime analysis, which means studying how crime is distributed across geographic location. So in 1960s kay diha nagigamit nila ang mga large computer system para ma-identify og ahadapit ang high crime.
1970 to present. From 1970 to the present, crime analysis have evolved to focus on understanding how environmental, geographical, and social factors influence where and why crimes occur, using crime mapping and technology to study crime patterns and support effective law enforcement. Since the 1970s, researchers have shifted from studying only criminals to examining the situations, locations, and social conditions that lead to crime. This approach uses crime mapping and data analysis to identify high-risk areas, guide police resource allocation, and involve communities in preventing and solving crimes more effectively.
Okay, so here is the continuation of this topic. So, in Pennsylvania, Carnegie Mellon University collaborated with the Princeton Bureau of Police to establish a system for generating thematic maps that illustrate how crime patterns evolve across different areas over time. So, together, they developed a system to create thematic maps illustrating how crime patterns change in different areas over time. So, the purpose of it is to create a system for generating thematic maps. These maps focus on specific themes or topics, in this case, crime patterns. It also aims to illustrate how crime patterns evolve across different areas over time.
So in 1993, the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority of Loyola University of Chicago held a computer crime mapping workshop. The event led to publication crime analysis through computer mapping in 1995, which started spatial analysis techniques and practical guidance for police and students. It was one of the first major efforts to unite researchers and practitioners in advancing crime mapping. So, niadtong 1993 naghiusa ang Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority o ang Loyola University of Chicago aron mahimo og workshop bahin sa computer mapping. Sa maong kalihukan, ilang gitun-an kung giunsa pagamit ang teknolohiya sa pag-analisa sa krimen. Tungod niini nakapublish sila og libro nga gitawag og Crime Analysis through Computer Mapping kaniadtong 1995. Ang libro nagpakita sa mga teknik sa spatial analysis o naghatag og tabang o giya sa mga pulis o estudyante. Usa kini sa mga unang panahon nga naghiusa ang mga researchers o practitioners aron mapauswag ang paggamit sa crime mapping.
In the mid 1990s, the US government, led by the Vice President AI Gore, boosted funding for crime mapping techniques and technologies. The COPS office, or the Office of Community Oriented Policing Services, launched the MORE program, which is the amount of time redeployment effective to help police agencies buy crime mapping software, GIS tools, and support staff. So nowadays, it is important, most especially these generations, to have the technologies, software technologies for crime investigations. So since 1995, over $1.3 billion has been distributed to law enforcement to save time through tech and civilian personnel. These efficiencies allowed more officers to return to street duty and focus on community policing. So the initiative improved police capacity to analyze and address local crime and disorder, highlighting the vital role of crime mapping in problem solving and strategic policing.
Types of crime mapping: manual pin mapping. Wall maps are traditionally used to illustrate crime incidents, with many police departments relying on them for briefings. However, these manual maps have significant limitations. They are challenging to update, maintain accuracy, and can only present limited data. For instance, while colored pins can indicate different crime types and times, they struggle to convey the full text of incidents. Updating these maps involves removing pins monthly, leading to potential data loss and making comparison over time difficult. Furthermore, an overload of data renders the map unreadable due to the clutter of pins and holes. So in manual pin mapping, the traditional wall maps where colored pins marks locations of crime and incidents. Advantage of these are simple and visual, useful for briefing and quick overview. But there is a limitations. So, a limitation is hard to update and maintain data loss when removing pins. For example, using red pins for burglaries and blue pins for assaults on a present wall map. So, makita nato sa picture nga mag-manual ra jud agkuan kanang butang og pin. Like in a certain police station, mag-print sila og map. So, if ever na ay crime na hitabo ang ani nga lugar, ilang pinan og kuan mag-color coding na sila kaning pins color ani is red kay assault or kuan ba blue. So mao na. So next is computer mapping. In internet program where an address is entered and a map of the surrounding areas appears with a pin to locate the address, even though it is possible to zoom in and out of this type of map. The geographic features like locations, street bars are static and cosmetic only. In essence, a computer maps is similar to wall maps. In the computer is used to place a point a specific location just as a person would pin on wall maps. So in computer mapping, use digital tools to plot crimes and computer-based maps like Google Maps. So advantages of these are easier to update and zoom in and out. So ma-zoom nimo the cleaner visuals and more data layers. Sa limitations lang, static visuals if not linked to dynamic data systems. For example, entering an address into a mapping program to view recent crime incident in the surrounding area. So sa computer mapping magayus siya og computer so ma-zoom in, ma-zoom out nimo ang lugar dayon didto nimo kuanan kanang markahan ug munay lugar nga naay crime nahitabo.
Geographic Information System. A geographic information system is a computer-based software that lets users modify, visualize, query, and analyze geographic and tabular data. Unlike manual pin maps or basic computer maps, GIS enables viewing underlying data, combining features, manipulating maps, and performing statistical analysis. There are two types of GIS programs, which include first is the desktop packages, and second is the professional software. GIS components. The following is a description of the major components of a GIS, which include first is the data representation, second is the data features or visualization, third is the scale, fourth is querying. A geographic information system or GIS is a sophisticated computer-based tool designed to capture, store, analyze, and display geographic data. It integrates spatial information with related tabular data, enabling users to visualize and interpret complex spatial relationships more effectively than simple maps or manual plotting methods. Unlike traditional maps, GIS allows for interactive manipulation of data layers, providing a dynamic platform for deeper analysis and decision making related to geographic features. GIS programs come in various types to suit different needs. Desktop packages like ArcView, MapInfo, Jumedia, Atlas.js, and Maptitude are popular choices for general mapping and analysis tasks. These applications typically offer user-friendly interfaces for managing data and creating visual representations. For more advanced and large-scale applications, professional software such as ArcInfo and Intergraph provide robust tools for complex spatial analysis, automation, and integration with other systems serving more technical and specialized users. The fundamental components of a GIS system play a crucial role in its effectiveness. First is the data representation involves how geographic information is stored and managed within the system. Data features and visualization relate to the graphical depiction of spatial data, allowing users to see patterns, trends, and relationships visually. Scale refers to the level of detail and geographic extent that the map and data accurately represent. which is essential for precise analysis. Querying is another essential component that enables users to search, filter, and extract specific information from vast datasets within the GIS. This function allows for targeted analysis such as identifying crime hotspots or planning resources allocation based on geographic patterns. Collectively, these components work together to provide a comprehensive and powerful platform for geographic analysis, supporting a wide range of applications from urban planning to law enforcement.
So let's proceed to the data representations. First is the point feature. So a point feature represents a discrete location often depicted by a symbol or label in a GIS. So in GIS, point features serve as the most basic element for representing geographic data, denoting specific locations with zero-dimensional geometry. So for three-dimensional representation, making them suitable for mapping individual using object, events, or location. So the simplicity of point feature allows for efficient data storage and processing, facilitating various spatial analysis. They can be used to represent anything from the location of individual trees in a forest to the addresses of customer locations for a business. This attribute associated with each point can store additional information such as the type of tree, the customer's purchase history, or any other relevant data. So point features are essential for creating detailed and information maps, providing a foundation upon which more complex spatial analysis can be built. The versatility component of any GIS project make them fundamental for enabling users to visualize and analyze geographic data with precision. So the second one is a line feature. What is a line feature? A line feature is a geographic element represented by a line or set of lines useful for showing features like railways or rivers. Also known as the polylines, represented geographic elements as a sequence of connected points forming a one-dimensional geometry. These lines are used to depict linear features such as roads, rivers, pipelines, and even the power lines, providing a visual representation of pathways and connection across a landscape. The attributes associated with the line features can describe characteristics such as length, flow direction, material type, and traffic volume, adding valuable context to the spatial data. In the GIS, line features are used for network analysis, routing, and modeling the flow of resources or movement across a geographic area. They are essential for mapping and analyzing transportation networks, hydrological systems, and other linear infrastructure, offering insights into connectivity and spatial relationships. Their ability is to represent pathways and connections, make them a crucial component of GIS for understanding and managing complex geometric environments. So the third one is the polygon feature. So what is a polygon feature? It is a two multi-sided figure formed by closed lines representing areas such as city boundaries or census tract. It is also called as a two-dimensional areas defined by a cross series of lines, forming a boundary that includes a specific region. These features are used to represent areas such as land parcels, buildings, lakes, forests, or administrative regions like cities, states, and countries. They are more complex than point inline features as they require a sequence of connected coordinates to define their shape. So each polygon feature can store attribute data, which provides additional information about the area it represents, such as about the population density, land use type, zoning regulations, or environmental characteristics. This attribute data allows for detailed analysis and thematic mapping, enabling users to visualize and understand spatial patterns and relationships. It is also essential for a wide range of GIS applications because it includes urban planning, environmental management, even the resource allocation and political boundary mapping. So what are their abilities? So their ability to represent areas and store associated attributes makes them a powerful tool for spatial analysis and for making a decision. So the fourth is the image feature. It is a vertical photo from a satellite or plane. So In the image feature in GIS referred to a raster data, typically aerial photographs or satellite imagery that have been georeferenced, meaning they are linked to specific geographic coordinates. So these images provide a visual representation of the Earth's surface and can be used as a backdrop for other spatial data layers, allowing for visual interpretation and analysis. So the image features can be used to identify and map various features on the ground, such as buildings, roads, vegetation, and water bodies. They're also used for change detection, monitoring environmental conditions, and assessing the impact of the natural disaster. The resolution of the image determines the level of detail that can be observed, with higher resolution images providing more detailed information. So the image features also are crucial for a wide range of GIS applications, including urban planning, environmental monitoring, remote sensing to provide a visual representation of the Earth's surface, combined with their georeference properties, makes them a valuable tool for spatial analysis and for making a decision.
So now we will continue on the data of geographic features. Now, each geographic feature, point, line, or polygon in a GIS has an attribute table that provides detailed information about it. Unlike manual or digital maps, GIS allows users to view, query, and analyze this data, making it a powerful tool for spatial awareness or analysis. Now, as you can see in this photo right here, we can pwede nato siyang ma-explain nga ang GIS kay nasad siya ay daghang usage. Now, another simple term para ani niya nga para sa GIS is now, imagine you have a map, but it's just not a flat picture. Instead, it's a smart, interactive map that knows everything about the places on it. So, meaning, dili ra jud siya flat nga image. Unlike aning akong ipakita nga picture diri sa Sikihor Island tourist map. Sa punin ana, flat ra siya, wala ay mga layer-layer unlike aring sa second picture nga inyo makita. Now, in GIS, everything on a map is called geographic feature. Like sa points, mag-highlight siya sa points, lines, or polygons. Now, these features come in the three basic types. So, sa points, we used it to pin specific locations. Like, for an example, a city on a map, or a store location, or a single tree. Para mabalan jud nato kung asang lugar jud nga asang lugar ang gipasabot jud sa data dapat ato jud siyang i-pinpoint using points. Kaning sa sunod is lines. Now, lines represent paths or boundaries. Like mga dalan or sa mga boundaries nga may palahi nila. Now, we have an example of roads or rivers, man sa mga example, borders between towns or hiking trail. Now, third is we have the polygons. Now, polygons, these shapes that it's the shapes that cover an area. Like for an example, lake or park, country or province or agricultural field. Mao na siya ay mga basic mga shapes or mga features nga makita din na sa geographic features. Example hanin sa ato ang pictures nga nakabutang. Now, what makes this feature smart? It's because each of these features isn't just dot, line, or shape. It has an attribute table attached to it. Now, when we say attribute table, it is like a spreadsheet full of information about that specific feature. So, meaning, for example, a road line. Now, a road line, it has attribute table that might include its name, ang ngalan sa dalan, speed limit, mga unsa ka kusgana, unsa ka paspasa ang sakyanan nga pwede mo labayhan ng dalana or number of lanes or conditions. Now, next is we have for a park, now just say polygon. Now, it might list its size, ang gidak-on sa park, facilities, or visitor numbers, ang pila oy tawo nga himbisitahan ng lugara. Now, why GIS is powerful? It's because GIS allows you to view its to view, see different geographic features and their details, so meaning detailed ang imuhang paglantaw na niya. Query, meaning to ask questions like, show me all the stores within 5 kilometers of this road, or etc. And analyze, find patterns, solve problems, and make better choices. So para dili jud magayagaw ang isa ka law enforcement investigator, dapat kabalo jud ka ug unsa ka gamit ang GIS. So next is we have guys connectivity. Connectivity describes how linear features like streets are linked at intersections. In GIS, this means the system can recognize when two line segments connect, allowing accurate mapping of networks such as roads. Now, another term nga akong na-search is connectivity in GIS refers to the topological relationship that describes how linear features like roads, rivers, or utility lines are linked or connected to each other at specific points, known as nodes or intersections. Like, for an example, like roads, rivers, or utility lines, connectivity shows for example, roads, these are connected. Like, there are specific points which nga maga-interact jud silang like mag-interact jud sila. Something like that. Now, this fundamental concept allows GIS to software to understand and model networks. Now, the importance of this is it is crucial for performing network analysis such as shortest path routing. Like, in this case, pwede kang makabalo kung asay mas duol or asay mas mubo nga dalan papunta dito sa imong gustong atuan. Now, finding the quickest route for a delivery truck. For an example, take that as an example. Makabalo ka kung asay mas dali nga dalan para sa delivery truck nga maghatod sa iyahang atuanan. So, o sa lugar nga gusto niyang hatdan adtong iyang mga goods nga dala. Now, service area analysis, for an example, determining areas reachable within certain travel time. So, mas mapadali ang imuhang travel time. Dili na ka problema sa kung moabot pa ba, kung maabot ba nimo ang specific nga target nga time nga pag-adto dito sa imuhang lugar nga ganahang adtuan. So, mas mapadali ang imuhang pag-adto. Now, flow modeling, example is simulating water flow or in a pipe network. Now, data integrity ensures that linear features in the dataset are properly joined, preventing dangles, lines that don't connect where they should, or undershoots or overshoots, meaning lines that don't meet or extend past their intended connection points. Now, an application is essential. Applications of this, it is essential for transportation or planning utility management. For an example, water, gas, or electricity, telecommunications, and hydrological modeling. It's because they have something at a specific point that interconnects them all. Like, nadyo siya specific point nga mag-aabot yun sila. Now, next is we have contiguity. Contiguity, based dire sa atong PowerPoint. Contiguity refers to how areas or polygons share common boundaries. Now, GIS identifies these adjacent areas, enabling users to analyze relationships or select related regions and visualize complex land structure. So, para mas masabtan gyud nato kung unsa ang deeper meaning sa contiguity. Now, contiguity in this GIS it describes a topological relationship where areas or features or polygons share a common boundary or edge. This concept is vital for understanding spatial adjacency and the relationship between neighboring regions. Now when we say spatial, like spatial awareness, kabalo jud ka kung kabalo ka sa imong palibot. Dili ka kanang marag daphag lamang sa imong agi inana. Now, an important of this is spatial analysis. It enables various adjacency-based analysis such as identifying all parcels bordering a specific property, determining which administrative units share a frontier, or analyzing the spread of phenomena across contiguous regions. Now, next is we have the geometry. Now, geometry means that all GIS features have defined x and y coordinates, which locate them precisely on the map. Now, geometry in Geographic Information Systems or GIS refers to the spatial characteristics or features defining their shape, size, and location in a coordinate system. Now, we all know that coordinate system is we have x and y. Now, each feature in GIS dataset, whether it's a point or polygon, has a defined geometry based on x and y, as I said earlier. Now, the importance of this is this geometry allows the feature to be precisely located on a map or in a spatial database. Now, spatial representation. Geometry is essential for creating and displaying geographic features accurately. Without geometry features, you would have no spatial presence. Like mag-analyze jud ka sa lugar. Now, spatial analysis enables special operations like calculating distance, kung unsa iyang kalayon, areas, perimeters like kanang gapalibot ihanang lugara, and performing geometric intersections or unions. Now, data integration allows different datasets to be overlaid and analyzed together because all features are referenced to a common coordinate system. Now, we have types of geometry. Now, types of geometry, we have points, represents a single location, lines, which represents a linear features like roads, rivers, or power lines, naka-explain ko ato kanina, and polygons, which represents an area enclosed by a boundary. For example, lake, building, or footprints. Moto siya ang mga examples sa geometry nga for example mag-coordinate siya sa x and y nga makatagbo like ma-interconnect yapon sila ba inana.